Can you see that? Oh,
Yeah, we're all good. I apologize. I turn off my video here. Okay. We left off on this problem. We did this problem yesterday. Maybe.
believe we did.
Well, it's a little different. Okay, this one is a little bit different. Okay, so this is where I grab a snip of it and we work through it on my screen. And I don't think I can talk you through it. So unfortunately, this is kind of the pain in the butt part of it, but I'm going to share my screen. So you'll have to jump back to being able to see my screen, which shouldn't be too bad. Believe it said the value of TC was, I'm sorry, I missed it. Could you give me the value of TC?
Let me just pull it back up. Value of TC is 16.
And I think he gave you AC.
AC is 10.
Okay, very good. So what we're trying to find is RC. Well, actually, we didn't need that. So RC is double 10 because it's the diagonal of this. So I actually did not need to. I could have talked you through that. It is identical to what we did yesterday.
So it's just RC is 20.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Now, if you unfortunately you have to now share your screen again. We can't share simultaneously. It's a bit of an annoyance, but I don't make Zoom. I only use their product. So whenever you're ready, share your screen and we'll take a look at the next problem. And I do appreciate that it's a little bit easier to see today. I don't know if you're zoomed in or on a different machine, but much easier.
I'm on a different computer this day.
Okay. All right. If RA is 2x plus 3, the RA is that, and AC is 5x minus 9. Okay. I think I can talk you through this one. You see that they're giving you RA is part of the diagonal and AC is part of the diagonal.
Yes.
So you can actually set those equations equal to each other.
So 2x plus 3 equals 5x minus 9.
Yeah.
And then first thing I'm going to do is I add 9 to both sides. Turns out the 2x plus 12 equals 5x. And then would I subtract 2x from both sides?
Good.
Which gives me 12 equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 4 equals x.
Now keep in mind, it's asking for RC, not X. So you have to put that back into one equation or the other. But that also is not the final answer. So let's just put it in RA. So put that value of 4 back into RA for me, please.
4 plus 3 is 11.
Now RA is only half of RC. Do you see how it says find RC going all the way down the diagonal?
Yes.
You have to double that answer you just found.
So it would be 22.
Yes. And is doing it that way okay? Some of them I can just talk you through, some I will show. I've got it written out on my screen as well, if you want to look at the notes later, but is that okay doing it that way? All right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, in a rhombus, all the sides are congruent. So you can set those two sides congruent to each other. 2x minus 9 equal to x plus 5.
Okay. So all these are congruent. And I need to try to find an m. So I would just do, would I just do it like what I did last time? 2x minus
Exactly.
9?
Yes.
Minus 9 equals x plus 5. First thing I want to do is add 5. Using 2x equals x plus 10. And then if I subtract x from both sides, it gives
Wait,
me...
I heard a 10 somewhere. You're adding 9 to both sides. That is 14.
Oh, I'm sorry. I added... Oh, I did it wrong.
Okay. Yeah, just double check that.
sorry, if I need to add 9 to both sides,
Yes.
so that would give me 2x equals x plus 14. And then I subtract x from both sides, which gives me, would leave me with x equals 14, correct?
Yes, X is 14, but that is not the answer. It wants N to M, which you can see is in the top right of your of the rhombus there. But you really just have to put that 14 into any of them, any of the X for X, because all the sides are the same in a rhombus.
So that would just give us 19 because x
Yes,
with 14
yes.
is 19.
Got it. All right, same thing here. You have to set the two sides equal because it's a rhombus and solve for X.
All right.
Again, I'm happy to share my screen at any time. I'm working these out for you in case you want to look at the notes later. But you're setting the two equations equal and solving for X.
5x plus 2 equals 2x plus 5. So first thing I want to do is subtract 2, which would give me 5x equals 2x plus 3. Then if I subtract 2x from both sides, gives me 3x equals 3. Divide them both by 3, gives me x equals 1.
I agree. So now you have to put X into one of the sides. Doesn't matter which one, the 2x plus 5 or the 5x plus 2. And then the perimeter is multiplying the sides by 4.
So 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 times 4 is 28. So this answer would be 28.
I agree.
Find x.
Okay, this one will likely require me to snip and share. So I'm going to grab that and share. All right. So if you see my screen here, the make it just a tiny bit bigger so you can see that. So there's a reference triangle that goes along with a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And the X I'm drawing you're about to write is not the same as the X in your drawing. It's the short leg. And 2x is the hypotenuse and x root 3 is the long leg. You saw this at some point in your class. Doesn't really matter when, but what you do is you set the known side 8 equal to the reference side, which is x. So see how 8 and the x over here on the right are in the same corresponding spot?
Yes.
Okay. And what that does is it allows you to find the other thing in the triangle. And I know this is confusing because they've got X there. This is a really deceptive thing. They want you to find the long leg, okay? The long leg is the short leg. The long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3. What you just found 8 is the short leg. This is the short leg.
Gotcha.
To find the long leg, you take the short leg and multiply by the square root of 3.
So 8 times the square root of 3 is 13.85, but I'm assuming we just do 8, just do b because
Yeah, just keep it as is. Yep. Right. So go ahead and punch that in and share your screen whenever you're ready. Hopefully we get something really similar to look at on the next problem to help make this clear. There you go. Everything okay there? Looks like it. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Yeah, so I probably ought to share this one again because it's. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. What's interesting in Zoom is that if we were both attendees, we could share our screen at the same time, but the presenter me and you cannot at the same time. So anyway, the reference triangle again here is important. This time, the short leg is over here on the left. That's what's generally referred to as X in the reference triangle. The hypotenuse is 2x, and then the long leg, which is across from the 60 degrees, is x root 3. So what you do is you set the known side, which in your problem is the 20, equal to the reference side. You set 2x equal to 20, x equals 10. Now that x is not the same as your x. That x equals 10 just refers to the short leg, okay?
Gotcha.
Like everything we just done there is just for the reference triangle, but that maps to, if you do a mapping here, it maps to the y. The y value is the short leg. So even though Rx is 10, that's also the y value.
Right. Okay, so if it says, so if it's 20, it says 2x, I just divide that by 2 on principle.
Yes. And that number that you found is the short leg. Like what you're really doing is you're creating a whole other triangle over here where it's like, okay, that's 20, that's 10, that's 10 root 3. And then you're matching it back up to your triangle with what you're trying to find. Like, because it says find the value of y. What it really means is this leg over here. If it said x, it really means this leg over here. You just go to your reference drawing and you say, oh, it's really 10, or oh, it's really 10 root 3.
Gotcha.
These are the harder problems of 30, 60, 90s. You mentioned that your teachers just grabbed a collection of problems. These are really tough for you. So don't take too much stock if you're not fully getting it. But whenever you're ready, if you want to share your screen, we'll look at another problem.
Another one, it seems.
Yeah, this is another special triangle. I'll grab this and share my screen again. Okay, share screen. Boom. All right, it says you're seeing my screen now. This is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And in a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the two legs are congruent. They're typically referred to as x and x. And then the hypotenuse is x root 2. So I think kind of like the way to maybe best help you here is to say, okay, this leg is 100. It is the same as 100 on the other leg. And that comes from your drawing on the left here. Like we're saying one leg's 100, the other leg's 100.
Gotcha.
What is the hypotenuse down here?
The hypotenuse would be 100 square root 2.
Yes. Now we map that back to, well, what do they want us to find? They want us to find the hypotenuse.
Gotcha. Okay, so
Does that make sense? Like you?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the same, but now going backwards. A little bit more difficult. I'll share my screen again. Share screen. There it is. All right. So again, I'm going to draw the reference triangle. The reference triangle, it can rotate. It doesn't have to be in any one orientation. The legs are the same, and the hypotenuse is x root 2. In your problem, they're giving you the hypotenuse. They're telling you the hypotenuse is 88 root 2. So notice that to go from the leg to the hypotenuse, you multiply by the square root of 2. So to go the other direction, you divide by the square root of 2.
Okay, so we do, in this case, I would do 88 divided by
square root of 2. Now, the way the answers are presented, these are all rationalized. And so if you were allowed to use a calculator, you could put this in the calculator and then compare to the ones that are there. I don't know if you're allowed to do that or not, but that's one way to go. The other is to rationalize the denominator by multiplying the top and bottom by the square root of 2. 88 square root of 2 over 4, I'm sorry, over 2 becomes 44 square root of 2.
All right. So I gotta just rationalize it. So I would have to always do 88 times the square root of 2. Divided by 2. Square root of 2 times divided by 2. He was giving me 62. I don't know how you're getting the 44.
So square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, which becomes 2.
Oh,
And then 88 divided by 2 is the 44. But like I said, you don't have to be that sophisticated. You know, your goal is to just get done here. I would just compare these to these over here, and you'll find that, you know, if you got a question like this.
gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
All right, so whenever you're ready, if you want to share your screen, we'll look at other problems. Are there really 100 items in this review?
There is.
Wow. All right. So can we skip some?
Yeah.
Okay, this is one I would recommend. If you want to, I'll make a note here that you could plot the points and then sort of eyeball it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you could plot the points on Desmos if a calculator. So yeah, let's go to the next one here. Same thing for this. Now, is that how you're going to be? I mean, you're not going to have a graphing calculator on your test, are you?
I'm going to be able to take, I have a TI-84, which is a graphic calculator.
Okay.
So I can bring that into the test. So
This doesn't help you. This is, let's just keep going. I'm going to see it because we want to hit the problems that we know you can get right. Okay. Keep going. Yeah, I mean, all these we can do. These are just more involved. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. So like what I'm trying to do with you is figure out like what kinds of problems can we for sure get right so that you know get enough points on there. AB congruent to A, BD, A equals 7.3. Okay. Fine, easy. Yeah. Okay. Keep going. Keep going. This one I think you would be worth doing here. So this is nice and straightforward. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you tell me if you see one, you're like, oh yeah, I think I can do it like that. We want to pick stuff that you know you can do and make sure you're good at doing some of that before we
I
get.
remember
Just let me
doing
share.
this, but I need a bit of a refresher because
Of course, yeah. And good thing I didn't take over because we were not going to get through 100 questions review assignment. So, all right, the one of the things about the trapezoid, this is a trapezoid, even though it looks really weird. It is a trapezoid, 2 parallel bases. So this thing right here is called the mid segment or the median.
Mhm.
And the median is the average. It ends up being the average of the top and the bottom. So if you take the top and the bottom and find the average, which means dividing by 2, that equals the 2x minus 1 in the middle.
Okay, so in order to find this, I would just do,
But do you go before you even do the math, because before you do the algebra here, like, do you think you could remember that? Because this is a kind of a simple thing. It's the average of the top and bottom. It's not like any weird report. Okay.
so this would be 10 plus 44 divided by 2 gives me 27. And then so do 27 equals 2x minus 1. I would add 1 to both sides, gives me 28 equals 2x divided to both sides by 2. 28 divided by 2 is 14, I believe.
So x is 14. Good.
So x is 14. But this is pretty easy. I think I remember this stuff.
Okay. Now, regarding those points where they give you the ordered pairs, let's kind of review a couple of things here. This right here is called a parallelogram. So if it looks something like this, this is called a parallelogram. It has two sets of parallel sides.
Gotcha.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
The other ones that you might see are going to be very intuitive, right? If it's a rectangle, it's literally a rectangle, or if it's a square, it's literally a square. There's not much to think about. Now, a rhombus is closest to a square. It's a square pushed over. If you're not sure what I mean by that, like imagine you could just gently push over that square. It kind of looks like a parallelogram, but all the sides are the same.
Mhm.
So when you plot those points, if you work on those or if you get on the test, you're trying to figure out, okay, what is it that's vaguely familiar? You're trying to match up something you already know. All right, so whenever you're ready, if you want to share your screen again, we'll look through some more problems.
Yeah. Share screen.
All right, so this would be a good one for you to do. You don't need my help. MN is the mid segment. It's the average of the top and the bottom.
So I would add 12 plus 28 divided by 2.
Yes.
So this RS would just, or MN would be 20, but it's only giving me RS. I think this is just a typo. This is telling me to find the MN and it's saying RS.
MN, yeah, it should be, it's choose the one that, yeah. Good. All right. This one we can also let me grab a snip here. This is also one I think that you could reasonably do, and you can do all these. It's just we're trying to do the ones that are going to give you the most chance of getting the best score. All right, here we go. I'm sharing my screen. All right, so when you see the word similar, that means there's matching sides or linked sides. Like this 12 is linked to this 18. And the reason is not because they're both on the left. It's because the one curve, and then I think that's four curves, they're the same. So there's like a multiplication factor to get there. Or if you want to go the other way, there's a way to go backwards, but you're trying to match stuff up. So in this problem here, you're now matching up those two right there, the x plus 1 and the 24. So what most students do is set up a proportion. You remember doing that?
Not really.
Not really.
No.
Okay. So let's do it another way, because this other way would be easier. How do you go from 18 to 12 and you're multiplying or dividing? Is what I'm kind of suggesting here.
You'd have to multiply by like a decimal point.
Yeah, it ends up being 2/3. I don't know if you could quickly figure that out, but that's really important because you're going to use that to go from 24 to x plus 1, you need 2/3 of 24.
24 times 2 would give me 16.
And 16. So that tells you that x plus 1 must equal 16.
So if I'm trying to figure out what that is, I could just use common sense and think x is 15 because that's the only way you
Yeah,
can get 16.
exactly. Yeah, now you probably could get the answer, but there's a few that are pretty close that I think could really mess it up. So just be very careful that you don't just, do reasonableness, get it down to a couple if you got to guess, but if you want to share your screen, maybe 30 is similar and we can,
Share my screen.
yeah. Okay. So like look at the triangle on the right there where there's the 30. And how do you go from the 30 to the 40 on the bottom? Like what would you multiply 30 by to get to?
By decimal point or a fraction or whatever.
Yeah, and so if you can figure that out, and I mean the way to figure it out is to actually take 40 and divide it by 30 to figure out what to multiply by.
So that would give me 1.3.
Or 1 1/3. So if you take the 18 and multiply by 1 1/3,
gives me 6.
so you multiply by 1/3, not 1 1/3.
Oh,
Or, that 1.3333333, that would be better.
times that by. It's not right either. Okay.
You should be getting something like 24.
Yeah, 23.99999.
Okay, and that's where you got to say, okay, it's 24. And so you're setting x plus 15 equal to 24.
No. Oh. X plus 15 equals 24. So 24 plus. This means 39. That is not.
X
equal.
plus 15 equals 24.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Now, good thing is you said, hey, that's not there. So that would lead you to hopefully say I better restart or try something different.
So X plus 15 equals 24. So I just have to figure out what that is. 5. And then I guess I can always just go. So 15 plus 9 gives me 24. So
There you go.
so X would be 9.
Got it. Good. Okay, this is another problem like the ones we've been doing. Unfortunately, this one is kind of rotated. So that X either goes to the 9 or the 12, and try to focus on where it is in relation to the two arcs.
I believe it goes to 9.
Goes to 9, okay, and the 8 goes to the 12.
Yes.
Okay, so a couple ways to do it. It's like, well, how do you go from 8 to 12, or how do you go from 12 to 8? Meaning, what's the multiplier?
So it'd have to be a fraction.
It is a fraction. I noticed that the answer for X is probably less than 8. So you're down like 5, 6, or 3. But you can do it perfectly, meaning like there's a way to figure out the fraction. Like 8 is what fraction of 12?
Is 0.66666 would be.
Okay. So what is 2/3 of 9?
2/3 of 9. So I just times that by 6.
Okay. Now we're kind of working around doing the actual Fortune, but do you feel like you could pick this up here the next day to,
Yeah, I think if you threw it in front of me, I could, at the very
okay.
least, backtrack enough to figure it out.
And that's all right. That's all you gotta do is get the right answer. You don't have to justify why it is the right answer.
Yeah.
All right, so the answer is 6.
All right. Oh,
Okay, finally, we got another good problem here. So to find the diagonal of the rectangle, you use the Pythagorean theorem.
so Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Exactly.
I would do 34 squared plus 22 squared,
You got it? Equals c squared.
and then that would give me 40.49.
Looks really close to
We'll
c.
do C, yeah. All right. All right, rectangle and 50 centimeters.
This problem requires you to draw a rectangle and then do the same calculation we just did.
So I would do
So draw your favorite rectangle,
all right.
label two of the side or one side 15, one side 10, and you should see a right triangle there with the diagonal.
Yeah. So we do 5 squared, or sorry, 15 squared plus 10 squared. Squared. Gives me that. And then if I square root 325, gives me 18.02, but I can just round it to the nearest hundredth, which is 18.03.
I'm sorry, what is your answer?
18.03.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't even see that first one. Yeah, good. That's great. Okay, this one probably should skip past.
Fantastic.
Yeah, go to the next one there. This one's doable. I will snip in this one and work it out here. Sharing my screen now. Okay, there's really two triangles here. There's the little one and then there's the big one. So you have 20 and 25. The big one over here on the right is got a length of 28. And then this other one is unknown. Okay. So it's the same style of problem we've been doing. You got to figure out, well, how do you go from 20 to 28? And the answer is always you take the bigger number and divide by the smaller number. So could you calculate that for us, please?
So 28 divided by 20 is 1.4. And then I would
So notice you're multiplying by 1.4. So to go from 25 to whatever this is, you're going to multiply by 1.4. What does that become?
35.
35. So the whole length is 35. And we know that part of it is 25. So what's the missing x?
So I would just do 35 minus 25, which gives me 10. So C would be 10 in this case.
You got it. Good. So I hope that's something you could do on your own.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. You know, this isn't rocket science. It's geometry and you can do it. All right, this one is more difficult. So let me set this one up for you. But it is the same setup. So let me share my screen. All right, so again, I'm gonna break apart. There's two triangles, 18 and 15. And then the bigger one is, unfortunately, we've got to add these two together. 15 plus x minus 5, which becomes just x plus 10. And then the other one is x minus 4 plus 18, which becomes x plus 14.
All right. So that's how we just do X.
This one's a little different. You can use the answers potentially in some of these. So here's how you would actually solve it. You would write something like this: 18 over x plus 14 equals 15 over x plus 10. This is the direct way to solve it. So the reason it's 18 over x plus 14 is you're matching up the sides, and then you're matching up 15 to x plus 10 in the other one. Now, do you feel like this is something you could solve? If not, we can go right to the answers to try to solve it.
Would I, for this one, I would have to do the X plus 14 equals X plus 10 first.
You have to diagonally multiply.
So I would do
18 times x plus 10 equals 15 times x plus 14.
All right. How would I like put that into it? So then that would just be 18x plus 10 and then 15x plus 14.
You have to multiply both of them.
Oh, sorry.
And then this becomes 210. So it's again, it's like.
And then would I do the 18x plus 180 equals 15x plus blah, blah, like subtract them, blah, 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 all that stuff.
Yes, just like you've been doing, you'll end up finding that x equals 10, it looks like.
Gotcha.
Now, if you don't feel like you could do that, or if you get stuck on the test, you can always start putting the numbers in and seeing if you can kind of, figure out, okay, like 18 to 24, 15 to 25, does that work? It's not perfect, but it will maybe give you a chance.
Gotcha. All right. No, that makes sense. All right.
You can skip this one. This one's kind of a bit weird one. This one, if you can draw the picture, it's almost like what we said here. So maybe we can do this intuitively. See how the telephone pole is 10 meters and it casts a shadow of 7 meters. And then the other shadow is 21 meters. How do you go from 7 to 21?
You times it by 3.
So you can use the same application of multiplication there for the telephone pole to the nearby tree.
So I would do 3 times 10.
Yes.
Which just gives me 30.
Yes.
The answer for this one would be 30.
You can do that for a lot of these. The same thing here. 12 inches long. The model is 12 inches long, and the scale is 1 inch to 15 feet. How do you go from 1 inch to 12 inches? What do you multiply by?
1 to 12. 12, you times it by 12.
So multiply the 15 by 12 to get the other number.
180.
All right. This one's a little more difficult. Why don't we skip past this? Hopefully you get the easier versions of these. Okay. Yeah, let me grab this. I think this is, if I show it to you, maybe look at it later. There's a good chance that you'll be able to locate. Okay. All right, so one of the things you should always do in multiple choice problems is look at the answers and recognize that they all have different perimeters and they all have different areas. So if you find the right perimeter or the right area, you have it. You have it completely done. And we've talked about this idea that there's like a multiplier to go from these. So from 12 to 18, to figure out that multiplier, you take 18 and divide it by 12, which is 1.5. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now the perimeter uses the same multiplier. So if we know the perimeter of the first is 28, we can use that multiplier to get the perimeter of the new one.
All right, so we do 28 times 1.5 gives me 42. So 42 would be the perimeter, and then
Yes.
I guess for this
And then
one,
to do area, you use the factor squared. So you take that 18 and multiply it by 1.5 squared. You don't need to do that because you already have the perimeter, but that is the ratio. So perimeter might be something to put on reference sheet. It uses the same scale factor. The area, it's the scale factor squared.
gotcha. Yeah, no, that's pretty simple.
Okay. Gonna share your screen. We can take a look at a few more here. Hopefully we can. All right, skip past this one. Keep going. Keep going. All right, here you go. Here's a good one. How do you find the third side in a right triangle?
So I would, a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Good. And so the answer is 13. If you want to click on that, and we'll just move to another one. Keep going. Same thing here. Oh, no, this is a little bit different. This is the cosine of x. So could you put your cursor on angle x?
Angle x.
Yes, vertex x. It's the angle there. Cosine uses the adjacent and the hypotenuse. Which is the adjacent? Which is the hypotenuse?
The adjacent is, so this is the hypotenuse.
Yes. If you're looking for the one with a 15 on the bottom, look at the answers. Do any of them have a 15 on the bottom?
This one.
So that now the adjacent is 12, but notice that you only needed to get one piece of information to get the answer. So always look for that.
Oh, yeah.
I teach a lot of standardized test prep, so these are things I tell students and hopefully help you beat the people like me who make them make the tests. So on to the next one whenever you're ready. Okay, this one's a little bit more difficult. Let me show you, work through this one. And I don't think we did any like this, but they're not impossible here. Let me share my screen. It's related to the sine, cosine, and tangent stuff that we just talked about. All right, so we're interested in finding GH. I'm going to put what X, just call it X for my sake. So relative to the 35, you have the adjacent and you want the hypotenuse. That is cosine. Cosine of 35 degrees equals the adjacent over the hypotenuse.
Gotcha.
Now, do you remember how to get a variable out of the bottom?
I do not actually.
Okay, so you end up cross multiplying here.
So
You get x cosine 35 equals 18.4. Anything times 1 is itself. And then you divide by cosine 35.
So,
okay, so cosine of 35.
So 18.4 divided by the cosine of, that's not the cosine.
Yes. Now, you go to your calculator, it'll give you the right answer. If you were really stuck, again, you can check your answers. You could put your answer over here in for X and see which one worked out to the cosine of 35. So you can always use the answers. If you can write something down that's correct, it eventually will help.
So the answer to this one would be 22.46.
Great. Go ahead and share your screen whenever you're ready. Maybe we can get one more question answered really quickly here. Is this due today? Go to the next one. There's no way we're gonna do that. Yeah, let's look at that one real quick. Is this due today, by the way, Brooks?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, well, if you want to schedule another lesson for us to try and get this done, I'm happy to help. The angle of elevation in this drawing is, I'm sorry, it wants, okay, so the angle of depression is 4. So you can see that gets you down to A or D. And then the only angle of elevation is, oh, is that a 1? Is that a, okay, sorry, 4 and 2 are angles of depression. See how they're sort of going down?
Oh,
4 and 2, they're going sort of down different
yeah.
ways. 3 and 1 are elevation, they're sort of going up, depending on how you look at it.
So it would just be this one, right? Right?
Yes, yes. All right, we do unfortunately have to stop there for today to go ahead and stop the recording.